We need people to share with law enforcement what they know, what they saw, so that we can stop the violence. And years ago, when we did Operation Impact, we realized when we put bad guys in jails, the violence stops. And we need our community's help to stop the violence. We can't do it just wishing it'll go away. We need the community's help. We have experienced some challenges with witnesses. We have anonymous people that call in, give us a little bit of information. Sometimes our detectives need to follow up on that information, and we don't have a person to call back. We really need our community to come forward, share with our detectives what they know, so that our detectives can then follow up with them while they're here with us, so that we can get the most information from that individual that we can when they're willing to share it. So that's another message that we want to share. The next question that has been posed to us repeatedly is our community safe? Our community is safe. We have identified through our investigation that this was not a random mass shooting like some outlets are saying. Some just didn't walk into the park with an automatic weapon and start firing. The shooting occurred between two known individuals who got into an argument and decided to resolve their differences with gunfire. And sadly, that resulted in 8 people being shot and 1 dying. And that's what this is about. If we can't get people to come forward and share their information, we are now up to a $5,000 reward. We'll pay them to come forward. We will pay $5,000 put up by the Florida Sheriff's Association through their Criminal Apprehension Assistance Program. If that information leads to the apprehension of the person responsible for this, they get paid $5,000, no questions asked. So we're willing to pay for information. This case is important to me. It's important to the Sheriff's Office. It's important to our community. And I submit, and that's the biggest message today, I submit to our community, we are around the clock. And if just because you don't hear from me or the Chief Deputy on a daily basis does not mean we are not working. We are working hard, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on this case. As you can imagine, I can't answer a lot of questions, but I know some of you might have some specific questions that I can't answer, so go ahead. Since you've been around a long time in the parking lot, I want to get to you first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sheriff. We have a mother shot and killed Monday.
Correct.
We still don't have an arrest in this shooting, a direct arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because we're working hard and we do not have an eyewitness that wants to come forward and tell us who the shooter was. Simple as that.
So the community's not cooperating with your agency?
I didn't say that. We have a lot of people that are cooperating, but we need someone to come forward that said, so-and-so did the shooting, I witnessed it, and that would help us tremendously.
Do you have any suspects at this point?
I'm not going to answer that.
Do you have anyone in custody at this point who could be related to this?
No.
Or could have had some type of involvement?
No. Angela?
I have a question about security again. I don't know if you can answer this or not. I know that there was 2 deputies from the Sheriff's Office that was there, other contract, and then there was also an addendum that said something about 4 armed security officers and 2 patrol cars from a different security company. Was that necessary? Did they have to have that to get this permit, or that was just an extra?
You know what? Do you know all the facts?
I can probably speak.
Chief Deputy Hester has spoken to the county, so he has all the facts concerning the contract.
So alongside of this investigation that we're doing, I've got looking into this whole detail, our part in the detail, the county's permit to let this group use the park there and have the event. And so a couple of things within our criteria, and I think I talked about this the other day a little bit. There's a whole list of factors that go into how we determine, and I say a whole list, we categorize these events, how many people, whether there's alcohol, what is the event, is it a family event, is it a wedding, is it a party? what is it? And then also on this particular application for this event, it cited that there would be private security provided also, which then, from our standpoint, lessens the amount of deputies that they have to pay for if they have that private security. And in this case, it was private armed security personnel that were supposed to also be present at this event. Now, the interesting thing is that there were multiple promoters or business partners, if you will, for this event. And today, through this investigation into this, determined that they canceled their private security the night before the event. No one provided that information to our agency. When our deputies get on scene, they take sort of direction from the event promoters as to what they wanted us to do. And they stationed our deputies at the south end to control people coming in and out, traffic, because it's a car show, you don't want a bunch of cars driving in and out, as well as to help with traffic control. There was no mention that we canceled our other armed security, so our deputies were isolated down into that area, and we were all under the assumption that there was private armed security that was working this event. So that creates an issue for us going forward.
So is anyone at fault with that, or they just, oops, we didn't have it, maybe we didn't have the money,
I think that's all yet to be determined.
And didn't, in fact, they serve alcohol, or there was someone there serving alcohol when on the application they said there would be no alcohol involved, it would be a family?
Well, and we're still looking into that as well.
Right.
We believe that alcohol was being served in some form or fashion there as well, and so we're still looking into that as well.
And would your deputies be in communication with that security company?
Not necessarily. So, in a perfect world, the promoter of the event would get there and introduce them all and would provide some form of contact back and forth. But if all our responsibility was for traffic control, or for, ingress and egress and so forth, there might not necessarily be, because they were supposed to be marked. They weren't supposed to be undercover security or anything like that. And listen, with that many people that were there, you guys all seen how many people that were there. There's no way for our deputies to, at some point, realize, oh, wait, where's the armed security?
Sheriff, if I could ask you, how and why was Frederick Johnson Jr. cleared?
Don't know. I didn't get into that with the detectives. They interviewed him yesterday, and they assured both of us that he was not involved in the shooting.
I mean, his face was plastered out there. There was a picture of him that was shown to the media, and 24 hours later, he's cleared. Are you familiar with what he knows or doesn't know? That
The picture was he was a person of interest, and that's what he was, a person of interest. I don't think the flyer said he was the shooter or anything, right? He was a person of interest. That's what he was yesterday. That's what he was today, and he's been cleared of any shooting in that incident or being involved.
Did he provide any information to you guys that
I'm
could be used in this investigation?
That I don't know.
Was he at the park?
I don't even know if he was at the park. I don't know.
So I don't think it's even relevant for us
Right.
to comment on
What do you say?
whether he provided information, didn't provide information, or whether he was there. Again, he had an arrest warrant. He was someone we wanted to talk to. And again, that's all part of the investigative. You guys know we don't discuss the investigative tactics and the questions we ask and so forth. So I think we can all agree, let's move on past him.
I know you're trying, but I want to just finish with one thing. This morning I did attend my first briefing. It was at 10 a.m. Inside our briefing room, we have the picture of the 8 victims of this shooting. That is all that is on the wall in our briefing room. There's another room that they have all the critical information posted, but in our briefing room that we went to, there's 8 victims on that wall. I went and looked at each one of them. I read their names. I read their addresses. And I don't want you to lose sight of what's important here. 8 victims was a result of a shooting on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, and we're not losing sight of that. There's 8 victims as a result of this shooting, and I submit to you, our community, there will be an arrest in this. It won't be today, might not be tomorrow. We might not brief you up until the point we make that arrest, but we will make an arrest in this case.